a narrative that I see as classic deflection from their own failures. Their leaders claim the situation is under control while admitting readiness for war, yet they also signal openness to talks on their terms, empty posturing that no longer convinces the outside world. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has declared that Iran reached out to negotiate, but he warns that they're edging towards his red line with every life lost, a development I find tense and potentially pivotal. Trump promises unwavering support for the people and hints at devastating military action. In my view, this turmoil is headed inexorably towards regime collapse. I've watched enough authoritarian regimes crack to recognize the signs.
Cross your red line yet to trigger a response?
They're starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination.
شب در تهران در بعضی جایی دیگه یه مش تخریبگر آمدن ساختمان متعلق به کشور خودشون رو خراب کردن برای که دل رئیس جمهور آمریکا خوش بیاد، چون او گفته که حرف بی ربطی که اگر چنانچه دولت ایران چنین کنه من میام طرف شما رو میگیرم.
All right, we've got some wonderful panelists joining us on the program. First up, Adel Malka-Nazarian, an American media personality, a political analyst, someone of Iranian origin. Thank you very much, Adel, for being with us. What we thought we would do is run through a set of key questions. Get your views on these key questions. So let's bring the first question up, which we can actually give our viewers. Will the current wave of protests fueled by economic collapse and spreading to over 180 cities lead to the fall of the Islamic Republic regime? That's my question. How would you respond to that, Adel? Do you believe this is the beginning of the end?
I do. I think absolutely this time around, there's a lot of different elements at play, that this looks like it is the moment that Iranians have been waiting for 40 plus years. I think that first of all, the shuttering of the Grand Bazaar in Tehran, the economic lifeline of Iran's regime, right? Their economic vein, artery, if you want to call it that, being shut down in protest on December 28th. That has never before happened. In fact, when the regime first came to power, it was the Grand Bazaar that actually was shutting down against the Shah and in support of the current, let's say, the offshoot of the current leadership. And so I see so many differences. I don't think that the crackdown has been more brutal by the regime's forces than it has been in years past and in protests past. I wouldn't call this just an uprising. This is a revolution. And it is absolutely the beginning of the end of the regime as we know it. What form of leadership and governance takes form after this will remain squarely in the hands of the Iranian people. But I can say with confidence that I think this is going to be the end of the regime. Whether it's a few weeks or a few months, I see it happening.
All right, Adele, next question to you. Is American military intervention imminent, given Trump's warnings, briefings on options, and claims of Iranian outreach for talks amidst the deadly crackdown? Do you see America getting involved?
I do see America getting involved. The degree really varies. I think President Trump's red line, unlike President Barack Obama's red lines in Syria, which were never adhered to, President Trump means what he says and he says what he means. According to President Trump's own statements, he said that lethal force being used systematically against peaceful protesters is a red line for him. It has been crossed. This is not a traditional red line, though, just to say, like acquiring nuclear weapons. It's tied specifically to human rights abuses, crackdown on dissent. This is a signal the regime is spiraling out of control and it's not just because of what's going to happen in Iran. It's going to destabilize the region. So something has to give. I think that what you're also seeing is, I don't know if it's verified. I've been seeing verified news sources suggesting that, online at least, as of Wednesday, Iran's going to start publicly executing protesters and dissidents. This is something that I think will even further ignite a reaction from President Trump to take some kind of tangible action in some form to stop what's happening to the Iranian people. All
right, next question. How credible are Iran's threats to strike the United States, its bases, also Israel, if allegations of foreign intervention take place? Do you believe that this is just, it's an exaggeration, or do you believe that this could be an extension of the fighting which we saw a few months back?
Unfortunately, it's very credible. I do see Iran exercising a response with force to any kind of intervention from the West on its, proxies or its own people, its governance structure. I do definitely see that. It is also a big concern for U.S. national security interests, for other nations in the region. And of course, I think there's going to be every country that has Iranian presence officially is going to be on high alert. You may even see embassies evacuating their personnel. So I think Iran will definitely respond with a good amount of force and might. And I just hope it doesn't also result in any kind of radical activity within the U.S. I don't know if you heard about it, but in California, in Westwood, I believe it was, there was a U-Haul truck that actually was, that drove into a crowd of Iranian protesters yesterday who were protesting against the regime. So who knows what could be next?
No, it is frightening. Just be with us. We've got another very special guest. Negar Motahedi is a senior journalist at Iran International, a host of its weekly Eye for Iran podcast, deeply concerned as someone of Iranian origin at what we are seeing over there on the screen. Let's have Negar up on the screen. Thanks very much for being with us. So, what we've been trying to do, Negar, is to go through scenarios and questions. So I'll bring the next one up to you, which is this. Can the Iranian regime, in your opinion, sustain this violent suppression, including internet blackouts, labeling protesters as terrorists, or do you believe that internal weaknesses and the casualties on the security forces will eventually erode control?
They've already lost control.
Okay.
The only thing that they have in their toolbox at the moment is violence and repression. They have lost control economically speaking. Ecologically speaking, don't forget, just a few weeks ago, the president of Iran was considering moving the capital from Tehran to the south so they could have access to water. So from everything from lack of water, dry taps, the air that they breathe, which is sometimes so polluted that they put out warnings that you can't walk outside, to the political chaos, they have nothing left other than their violence and their repression. So the question now is not will the regime be able to sustain itself, but how many more innocent lives, how many more people are going to be killed as this regime rots from within?
Negar, to what extent are the protests driven by Iran's massive economic crisis at this stage, hyperinflation, currency collapse, sanctions, right? The impact of sanctions. Is this really instigated by that? Is it anger that people feel towards the state of the economy, their jobs, their livelihoods?
That was the spark, of course. That was the spark that ignited all of this. But it's not just about the economy. This is 47 years of anger from the economy to the environment, to the repression, to just walking outside and being told how you should dress and what you should be looking like. I mean, this is 47 years bottled up that has finally come out. But of course, the economic pressures are what triggered all of this. That was just the spark. But the whole system is being questioned right now. This is about regime change.
Yep. Let's also bring in Dr. Richard Benkin. He's a geopolitical analyst and author. Dr. Benkin, thanks very much for being with us. I'm just trying to understand, sir, how soon do you believe, or what is the red line you believe that Donald Trump has, beyond which there may be strikes? And when we talk about strikes, I'm presuming these are aerial strikes against the Iranian military infrastructure. Boots on the ground seems, difficult at this stage.
Yes, well, first of all, I agree with what the previous speakers, and including yourself, have said. I don't see how the regime survives. What red lines are there? First of all, I think those red lines have already been crossed. So really, the question is, what happens and when does it happen? Just recently, just a few minutes ago, on Air Force One, President Trump seemed to walk back his threats and offer more moderation. However, I think we all have to remember President Trump keeps his cards close to his vest. He doesn't tell people what he will or will not do. And if we look at what happened in June in the 12-day war, before the U.S. bombed the Fordo nuclear site, it appeared anyway that Israel and the United States were drifting further apart. So those red lines have been crossed, and we're not exactly sure what's going to happen or when. People are being very tight-lipped, I can tell you around here. I also can tell you there's another thing that's very important that makes this all kind of tricky. And if this can be seen as something that is pushed or comes from some sort of foreign power, the United States, Israel, or whomever, that's problematic, because what this really is, this is an organic revolution by the people of Iran. And so even within the protesters, I think there's from what I understand from people I've talked to, there's mixed opinion as to what the U.S. can or cannot do. I think there are other things besides immediate military action. For instance, Israel is continuing to attack their proxies in Lebanon, making it more difficult for them to come to regime's aid. And also, the United States can help with cyber support, or by asking Elon Musk continue to increase the presence of Starlink there.
All right, Dr. Bekin, hold on for a second. Let me bring back Adele. Adele, this is my last question before, I want to know a little bit about your friends, your families, what you're hearing from the ground, because we don't hear anything other than whatever is leaked on social media. So, Adele, this final question, will Raza Pahlavi's calls for escalated mobilization, strikes, street takeovers, his positioning as a transition leader, will that galvanize enough support to shape a post-regime outcome?
Thank you for that question. I just was on a previous broadcast, and someone who was Iranian from Brussels had mentioned that Reza Pahlavi has no support in Iran. It was an outright propagandist lie. Reza Pahlavi, the crown prince, who I've met with personally several times, I know him pretty well, him and his wonderful wife and family. He definitely has enough support to galvanize a movement beyond this in Iran. People have been saying he's going to become the next leader of Iran. To be frank with you, I don't see that being the outcome. Once again, that's going to be up to the people to decide. But I think that his greatest strength is, as you said, going to be to help invigorate the people, to spark whatever inkling of hope is left within them, that they may be able to break free from this regime that has kept them down as prisoners for far too long. And he will be able to, as you said, help them transition into a new form of government once the current regime's leadership has been removed from power. And I think that will be his greatest gift to humanity and to the Iranian people. And I think the U.S. will be very supportive of him, honestly, and his supporters, of course, around the world, to be part of this historical moment that millions, Iranian and otherwise, have been waiting for.
Yeah. Negar, let me ask you this. The rights of women and the struggles that women in Iran have been facing for decades now is very much a part of the revolution now taking place. Women are very much a part of everything. If there is a collapse of the regime, where do you see, or how do you see women fitting in to a very Muslim country, but one where there would be more rights for women? In other words, the nature of the rule would change fundamentally, it is assumed. But in a Muslim setup, do you believe that belief in Islam would be different considerably than what it is now in order for women to get more rights?
Well, first of all, there's gender apartheid in Iran, and women are center stage and they are taking the lead in every aspect that you can think of and pushing back against this regime. But I wouldn't consider Iran to be a Muslim-centered country. I feel that, ironically, it took an Islamic revolution, paradoxically speaking, a holy irony, if you will, to make Iran actually very secular. So Iranians, by and large, are secular, and I think that post-regime scenario would be one that would reject any form of religious rule. I mean, this is very much what this is about. Iranians are rejecting having a velayat faqih, this whole notion of the supreme leader. So that will come to an end, and Iranian women will be front and center.
Adele, would you agree that the Iran that you may be looking at is not an Islamic state? It's an entirely secular state, potentially a secular democracy. Is that your dream?
Look, I agree with Nagar that Islam has never been the center of Iran. If you look at the Cyrus Cylinder, the first ever human rights doctrine by Cyrus the Great, who was Zoroastrian, by the way, there was nothing oppressive about that. The core, the heart, the soul of Iran, Persia, the Persian Empire, has been one of inclusivity. And the problem is when religion becomes a tool of control and oppression. And I think that's where the Islamic Republic got it wrong. And I'm very much aligned with Nagar in that I look forward to a day when the gender apartheid, if you want to call it that, right, regime in Iran will be replaced by one where women can also be the exceptional people that they are and be granted positions for their merits, based on their merits, not based on their gender. Iranian women are highly intelligent and capable, and I think that it's an opportunity for their true talents to be showcased, not only for their own country, but also for the world. Absolutely. And I truly look forward to that.
Nagar, where does this leave a new Iran's relationship with, say, Israel? You are technically still at war with Israel. There were military attacks in your country some time back. More important than anything else, perhaps, is peace. I'm sure all of us can agree that there has to be peace in West Asia. Do you believe that if the Khamenei regime goes away, is replaced, then that can take place, some sort of a lasting peace with Israel?
100%. I mean, and you'll see that in a lot of Iranian protests, they actually are holding the flag of Israel. And the Israeli government has been very supportive of the Iranian people. And, you know, there's even talk right now, potentially, that maybe the Israelis will start to do some cyber attacks on the Islamic Republic of Iran, who are known to be jamming certain regions with Starlink because they can do so through GPS tracking and whatnot. So it is within the interests of Israel to see a post-Islamic Republic Iran. And the Islamic Republic, of course, is an existential threat to Israel and to people around the world, especially to Jewish people.
And Adele, a final question to you. The timeline. There are those who feel that there will be the revolution will be over, there'll be a change in a matter of days. Others say weeks. Others say that the security setup in Iran has still not really been tested. What is your view on that?
That's a great question. I really think that something will happen before 2027. I know we're just entered 2026. I don't necessarily think this is going to be an overnight transition. I hope it can end as soon as possible, but I can tell you this, the likelihood of military intervention coming to fruition, it only becomes escalated and more heightened the longer this draws out. And it all comes down to economics. It has to do with oil, real markets, oil prices. That's going to be the differentiating factor. And the longer this thing draws out, the more the markets are going to be volatile. And that's what's going to be the impetus for any kind of tangible action in the form of military intervention and strikes. Well, so I'd say a few months.
All right. Well, we leave it over there. Adele, Nagar, and Dr. Benkin, thank you all very much for being with us. It's unbelievable how soon these changes are taking place, but it's not going to happen instantly. It'll perhaps take some more time. But will the freedom that millions across Iran, the one that they're praying for, actually take place? And will there be a lasting peace where the rights of women and others are respected in one of the world's oldest civilizations? We leave it there. Thanks very much for being with us. Good night.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand. Motorola Edge 70, India's only ultra-thin phone with 3x50 MP cameras. Grab Motorola Edge 70 today.
"21 days in Kashmir. People have bombarded me, friends, with requests for an unfiltered list of things I saw and observed on the ground.
Very special ground report from the line of control. There were some children who've lost limbs in the shelling.
They're now India's smallest, but possibly the most powerful crime family. Cough syrup has killed at least 25 children. Gaikwad sahab, aise mat kijiye. Suddenly, people are wondering about the weaponization of India-Pakistan cricket. We live and breathe elections. You will not believe your eyes or ears when I show you what I'm about to do.
And for a country that has fought so many wars in the mountains and at high altitude,
We're standing on the Indian Navy's newest warship.
the line of control, Shiv Arur, NDTV. Across the country.
He has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. Aditya Raj Kaul, covering international affairs like no one else, only on NDTV network.
Straight from the heart of the newsroom to the core of the stories shaping your world. Join me, Gargi Raut, as I track all the developments as they break. Live from the NDTV newsroom, weekdays at 4 p.m.
I don't sugarcoat. I shoot straight and tell you stories the way they need to be told. Unfiltered, unafraid, unmissable. That's how I roll. Watch me, Priyanka Deo, on NDTV World. Namaste.
Mumbai are bringing our first India tour in your city. Rag on with Shankar Ehsan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go grab your tickets on Live Your City by Fever.
What seems settled for me is unfinished business. So I rewind. I pause. I reflect. I dig until what's buried stands up to be counted. Breaking ground, not just headlines, the meaning behind them. This is Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Sood.
A very special moment for us as we announce NDTV Masterstroke, the NDTV Art Awards.
NDTV presents the Masterstroke Art Awards, an odyssey of creative brilliance where the masterpiece meets its ultimate recognition.
NDTV bringing this subject forward would have a great integrity of putting it forward where people could understand the importance of art.
This award that is being started, I'm sure is going to be amazing.
Art for India and for Indians is an expression of our Atmanirbharta.
It's actually quite a formidable jury, so I think we'll reveal a lot more as we go along.
This is an amazing platform, I think, today what you're doing.
Honoring the masters who define our creative landscape. Coming soon on the NDTV network. Every winter, the World Economic Forum at Davos becomes the world's thinking room, where power, policy and purpose converge, where the future is examined and reimagined. In January 2026, NDTV will be at the heart of this conversation. NDTV Ignite at Davos this January on the NDTV network.
Pulling us into this country.
They argue, I conclude. They deflect, I drill down. This isn't a free-for-all. It's a reckoning. No filler, no fog. Only the facts and where they lead. Every night at 9, the case closes because the buck stops here.
इनको यहाँ से जाना ही होगा।
जय मां दुर्गा!
There is no bigger battle in 2026. And nobody has reported Bengal like I have. Buckle up for an unforgettable election thriller. Will the BJP breach Mamta's fortress?
TMC जावे, BJP आसमे.
Can Didi fight off her life's biggest challenge?
BJP double engine সরকার এই লড়াই বাঁচতে হবে।
Battleground Bengal with Manogya Loiwal.
The front lines of Kargil. The fury of Operation Sindhu.
So many attacks.
The chaos and cries of disaster zones. To fighter jet cockpits. And the world's most defining interviews.
It's incredible.
He has seen history break. Live. Unfiltered. 20,000 hours of live broadcasting.
Welcome to Left, Right and Centre.
Hard facts.
War-struck country.
Hard questions.
In the Ukraine.
30 years of trust.
In the Kargil area.
North Ukraine. In France. In Italy. At Srinagar. Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Vishnu Shom. Only on NDTV.
"21 days in Kashmir. People have bombarded me, friends, with requests for an unfiltered list of things I saw and observed on the ground."
Very special ground report from the line of control. There were some children who've lost limbs in the shelling.
They're now India's smallest but possibly the most powerful crime family. Cough syrup has killed at least 25 children. Gaikwad sahab, aise mat kijiye. Suddenly people are wondering about the weaponization of India-Pakistan cricket. We live and breathe elections. You will not believe your eyes or ears when I show you what I'm about to do.
And for a country that has fought so many wars in the mountains and at high altitude.
We're standing on the Indian Navy's newest warship.
The line of control, Shiv Arun, NDTV.
Across the country, he has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. Aditya Raj Kaul, covering international affairs like no one else. Only on NDTV network.
Straight from the heart of the news.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7 with me, Raisha Saigal. On Newsnight, we shift our focus to Iran. While the unrest continues to spiral in the country, US President Donald Trump has said that his administration is mulling potential options. What are the possible scenarios and options, and how are these demonstrations different from the earlier ones? But the big question we ask tonight is, US strikes on Iran, are they imminent? We'll try to answer that and much more, but first, the headlines. Thalapathy Vijay grilled by CBI for over 6 hours today in the Karur stampede case that killed 41 people. The superstar will be called in again after Pongal. Jananayagan Mekha moves Supreme Court over movies censorship amid Vijay's CBI grilling in Delhi. Maker seeks early hearing, asks top court to hear matter tomorrow. MNS chief Raj Thackeray triggers huge storm, insults Annamalai, calls him Rasmalai. Annamalai hits back. Des says Raj Thackeray insulting Tamilians.